What on earth spurred you to create that at like in your tent at Tina
I couldn't possibly say. I'm sure you can figure it out. The listener can make their own mind up about that one. But yeah, it was just, I don't know, just always like I said, I have just always been into just like silliness.
Thanks for tuning in to the latest episode of the Apter Party podcast. My guest on today's episode, Max Raskin, is a DJ. He's a producer. He's actually in the production duo Manakinz with Harri from the Subclub. He was also a resident at the legendary club night Sunday Circus, which ran for 9 years in Glasgow. He does a bit of live performing as well, a bit of sort of improv comedy and some funny sketches on social media, which really cracked me up recently. And he hosts pub quizzes regularly in Glasgow as well, which I've heard are absolutely wicked. So had a good time chatting to him. We spoke about everything from music, the club scene in Glasgow, to some of his influences, production, and just generally being silly as well. So I really enjoyed speaking to him. I hope you enjoy listening to the episode as well. If you do enjoy it, please give us a like and subscribe. Please feel free also to give the episode a share, either on social media or you could share it with your friends. And please check out our episode sponsors, Paradesa. They're a cool Edinburgh-based clothing brand. I'll provide a link to their website in the episode show notes. So thanks for tuning in and enjoy.
Sweet. Sure. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm good. How are you?
Good. Busy day. Ready to rock. Got some questions prepared. First thing I kind of wanted to ask you about wanted to touch on dance music and DJing, because I definitely seen you play maybe at Sensu or at Sunday Circus like well before I've ever actually met you. Obviously, we've kind of met through DJing as well, but I've definitely seen you playing long before I've met you and enjoyed listening to your sets. So, what age were you when you first started getting into dance music? What was your introduction to it?
I was 16, I think, maybe younger, I'm not sure, but I think 16, and it was round about the time of standard grades in school, and my mates were he had Technics in his attic, and he was into like listening to all this like mad hardcore, like Carl Cox and DJ Seduction, and we used to just listen to these tapes, basically these Fantasia mixtapes, and it was them live from Fantasia and the SEC in 93, and it had like MC on it as well, and you just like hear all these like mad not stupid, but just like crazy sort of raps, like slam dunking them beats like Mike Jordan, the sound of Fantasia, this is the future. I just like, what the fuck is this? But also the music was kind of amazing, and my mum and dad, like I did really well in my standard grades, and they gave me a set of turntables as a present, and that was it. That was basically the decline of my life into the world of music, and just got sucked into that so much, like it just became everything. I'd be going to HMV like every weekend, just buying all these tunes, and originally started out like buying like Tidy Tracks and what's the other stuff, Positiva, Manifesto, sort of like more hardy, trancey, just like poppy or like housey kind of stuff.
Was it a quick turnaround from you sort of discovering dance music then to getting your first set of decks and starting to buy records?
Yeah, I mean, super quick. I mean, yeah, like I said, it was just basically listening to it for about, I don't know, a few months, and just very quickly becoming like a big part of like what it was all about. I just loved that music. And then, got the decks, and then one of those things, like when I got them, I was just like obsessed with DJs. Like I was obsessed with like Carl Cox, just being up there and just slamming out vibes and being in 3 decks, and just like, that looks so much fun. And then when I got them, I was just very quickly like in it. I was just like, I can do this. It's like something my cousin maybe came round. God, that seems like a weird memory just to pop in my head, but I think he came round and just kind of went, oh, this is what you do. And I was like, all right, okay. And then, within 1 or 2 mixes, I was like, they were pure shitty belt drive sound labs. So it's like even more ridiculous to learn in them. But I was just so into it from the get-go. I just thought, this is something that I feel like a sort of, what's the word, like an affinity for. I was just like, this is something that I can do, that I feel very easily.
The learning process for you at that point would have been much harder than for someone who's kind of getting on board with it just now, right? Because you, like as you said, belt drive turntables, you would have had to go to the record shop and buy the records and learning to play on vinyls. Obviously, it's more difficult. But what sort of space of time before you were actually like doing little gigs, and when can you remember your first gig?
Oh yeah. I remember it. It wasn't actually that long, because I think I got them when I was 17, and then my first gig was when I was 17, because a guy that I used to, was at school with, he was working in a sushi restaurant in Glasgow called Oko, which is in the Merchant City, or it was in the Merchant City. It had the biggest sushi belt outside of London. That was its big selling point. It was like a really cool place as well. Had really like cool people working there, and they basically had this private party, and they had like a wee sort of mezzanine bit up some stairs, and whatever reason they didn't get a DJ, and he was just like, oh, I know you DJ, do you want to come in and do this private party, just like a one-off? And I was like, cool. And by that point I had like, you know, I what I thought was like a good kind of taste in like house music and chill out stuff, and we were just talking earlier like Disco Candy, like that sort of like a wee bit more sort of hands in the air, handbaggy sort of house. But you know, it was good for what it was needed. And I think I took along my big stupid super heavy silver like record box. I think I actually fucked the taxi in the way, and the guy had an argument with me for about 5 minutes, and I was like, I'm sorry. But yeah, I got there and I had about that much, like an inch's worth of techno, just in case, because I didn't know what was going to happen. And I got there and I was DJing, and the party was really busy. It was, I don't know, but it's like a small mezzanine. There was about 40 folk in it, but it was like, you know, jam-packed. And I was playing for a bit, and then someone came up and they were like, all right, mate, have you got any techno by any chance? And I didn't know about like Eckies or anything back then. And you know, and now I'm just like looking back, and I'm like, these guys were melted out their nut. And I just started like, I was like, oh, amazing. Like, yeah, I do have techno. And I put on like stuff like Intake, and you know what I mean, like harder stuff in Soma. And it was amazing. That was like my first gig ever, and it felt like I was sort of playing in a club in a way, because you had a packed area. Everyone was vibing, everyone was out there nut. And I didn't know any better. I was just like, this is absolutely incredible. And I blew the sound system. The first night I was there, I destroyed the sound system. Which I felt a bit bad about, obviously. But then they got me back, and that was like my regular gig. I was doing that every Saturday. I think I was maybe still in school. I think I was in 6th year, I think. And then, yeah, just was doing that every Saturday. I was getting paid fuck all. But I didn't care, because, like, I mean, I'm sure the owner knew that as well. I was like, oh, this be a fucking idiot. I'll just give him nothing.
It was the buzz. You were doing it for the buzz.
Yeah, it was the buzz. It was the buzz. It was just the sort, and just being like, you're kind of feeling a bit like an adult in a way. You're just like in this bar. I mean, I was 17. I probably shouldn't even work in there.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I mean, at that age, you obviously weren't even like legally old enough to go to clubs and stuff, right? Had you been in a club by this point?
I think at that point, I'm not too sure. Potentially, the first night I went to as a 17-year-old, with no idea what like it was going to be like, was Pressure at the Arches. And I remember turning up after I'd done a shift at work, and I had like a suit, trousers on, these black like loafers, like a shirt and tie, and like a leather jacket. I thought it looked so cool, and I just stuck it like a sore thumb. Everyone's just like in t-shirts and joggers and whatever, just ready to dance, and I looked like fucking, I don't know, some like the Fonzie or something. Like, hey, what's happening? And but yeah, I remember just walking into the Arches, you know, I think I had a fake ID from the guy in work. And I mean, I was 17, I looked about fucking 9. I just looked so young at that age. I don't know how I got in. And then that was, you know, did you ever go to the Arches?
Yeah, I went to the Arches. I played in the Arches once, and I went as like as a proper young pup, but it was amazing. It was but I mean, this was probably, I think I probably first went to the Arches in like 2008,
right,
or something like that. So yeah, I mean, I never actually went a huge amount of times, to be honest with you. I never went a huge amount of times. I played there much later when I'd started DJing. Played, there was like an Apollonia party where Dan Ganassia, Dade Soundrum, and Shonky, and I think they were doing like a European tour. Played in the second room, so I was like glad to see that I got to play there at some point. But I wish that I'd kind of made more of the opportunity to go and party there whilst it was open. But it's running again now, right?
I think so. I mean, I've been back to it once. I went for Sasha and Digweed, I think, last year.
That must have been amazing.
It was cool. It was quite funny because like it was a different entrance. You went up the side, but it was just that way. You're just, because it was Sasha and Digweed, like a bit of an older crowd.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to do the Sunday Circus thing. So like being there, you had a lot of people that maybe used to go to Sunday Circus that I've not seen since that period. So they were like, oh, how you doing? I was like, oh, wow, it's mad. But it was like the exact same sort of experience of the Arches back then, because you'd go in, you're bumping into people, your mates are like, I'm going to go to the cloakroom, you go and get a drink. You're like, no, wait. And you're just like, for about 25 minutes, 30 minutes, you're like this state of confusion. Like, where is everyone? Everyone's wondering what to do. And eventually everyone gets settled and then you go in and it was, it was good. It was kind of nostalgic in a way, but funny nowadays, the phones thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it wasn't that prevalent there, but there was younger kids there and they're all got the phones up. And
They're doing.
It's just quite funny when you think back to that time when there was no phones and it was literally just about going there, chatting absolute mince to everyone and just experiencing that thing.
So, I mean, maybe you could talk to us about that, about your night at the Arches, your first clubbing night. I mean, that being your first clubbing experience, I think like my first clubbing experience was like Room at the Top in Bathgate or something like that. So to be honest, which had its day, it was great.
Yeah.
It's a bit more local to me, but Pressure at the Arches, your first clubbing experience, like an amazing sort of introduction into clubland. And maybe you could tell us a wee bit about like the atmosphere, the energy, and just generally like the club scene in Glasgow at that time as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, it was just a very eye-opening experience. I mean, I'd never been in a venue like that. The venue itself is just so cool. You've got obviously all the arches, and when you walk in the old entrance, you could see right up to the end. So you saw like people in every room, the big visuals, the lights, the smoke. It just looked like, I think I'd actually been in there. I can't remember if it was there actually, but there was a thing called Alien War.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember this?
Was this like similar to Laser Quest or something?
That's what, when I went, I mean, I was young, I can't remember, maybe 12 or something like that. But I think it was in like the Arches and that, so I'd been in there before, so I kind of vaguely remembered what the layout was.
Yeah.
But that's a different story. I mean, Alien War was mental. It was just like this immersive experience. And as a 12-year-old kid, I remember actually you said Laser Quest, like in the taxi there.
Yeah.
I went there with my mate, what was he called, Sean, and his mum. And on the taxi there, we're going to Alien War. And the taxi driver was like, all right, you know what that is, boys? And we were like, oh, no. And we were like, is it like Laser Quest? And I'm like, oh, no, mate, it's absolutely terrifying. And we were just like, what is this thing? Like, just we guys, like, all right, okay, we just like aliens. And then went in and it's like proper like Marines come out, they're like, okay, we have been attacked by a xenomorph. And everyone's like lined up against the wall and they like usher you through. And then I remember looking at my mate Sean, he was crying. He was standing next to the wall like, but anyway, so I'd kind of been in that space before and I was getting my memory a wee bit jogged by it. But yeah, just going in, hearing tunes that I'd obviously been listening to. I remember there was a Gene Farris tune. I think it was Gene Farris, I can't remember, but it was like a tune that was used for a Hula Hoops advert. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you remember that. It was like, wah, 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 wah. It was like a weird tune. And I heard that and I was just like, that's mad that that's getting played in here. And then I can't remember who else was playing. Gene Farris was playing. Who else was playing? I can't remember. Slam were on. I couldn't tell you. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I just remembered that feeling of like, all these people together just like vibing. I remember thinking like, how are these people dancing like that for so long? I remember like looking at people's knees just like, that is a lot of the same dance for a long time. Those guys must be really fit. Yeah. And then obviously you're like, all right, they're absolutely out there nut. That's what's happening.
Yeah, you worked it out later on.
I worked out later on, yeah.
For anybody listening that's not been, it's old railway arches, right? It's underneath Glasgow Central Station.
Yeah.
So it's pretty epic space for like a clubbing environment, right? One of the warehouse projects, obviously they've changed venues quite a few times, but like was it Store Street, or I can't remember.
I think so. I went there once, and I remember when I went there, I thought this is kind of like the Archie on steroids, basically.
Yeah.
It's just a bit bigger and a bit more intense.
But an amazing atmosphere. Like, I mean, it was when I first went, it was an amazing atmosphere. I can kind of imagine back then it was probably even more intense and
oh yeah, I mean, it was like, I mean, I was obviously so excited, and you got the ticket, you'd go and it's obviously on your phones now with QR codes and whatever, but you'd go to the box office, you'd buy these Pressure tickets, and they just looked so cool. It was just like these like Willy Wonka golden tickets with the lineup on it, and you're like, oh, I'm going to Pressure. And that was my thing. I never really went to anything else at Pressure. I went to Colours a couple of times if Carl Cox was playing. But Pressure was the one. Pressure was like, that was the vibe I was into. And that was just what I stuck with for many years.
So you never really went to many other clubs around that time?
Well, I went to Subclub.
Yeah.
Subclub as well. I mean, once I started getting into it, I went to Subclub. Again, Subculture was the one for me. There was Subculture and Optimo. Went to Optimo a few times, but I was just like such a house and techno guy. That was just my life. There was nothing else that existed. It was just like house, techno, just a proper wee club kid that was just into that.
Wicked.
And again, that was another thing, you know, you go to the Subclub and you're like, wow, this is even more amazing. Like the sound was better in the Subclub and more intimate. And I'd say that's a thing about like back then to now. I mean, I was in the Subclub actually on Saturday night there. But the crowd was probably the most notable thing that I would say is different. Like back then, even though I was a kid, you still felt like there was loads of older people there, and it felt like a real mix of people and just more chatty and vibey, whereas, you know, I'm there now and I'm like the oldest guy in the place basically, and it's just everyone else is so like young, kind of 18, early 20s kind of vibe.
In Subclub?
In Subclub, I would say. I've noticed.
I've not been as much recently, but when I have been, to be honest, maybe this is because it was kind of like Christmas time. I think like the last time I went was when Gerd Jansen and Prince Thomas were playing at Christmas time, and I felt like it was a great mix of ages in the crowd. Okay. I felt like it was but I don't know if that's just the time of year. It was probably like mid-December. Do you know what I mean? It's like quite a festive sort of time where people kind of tend to come out. But
no, I mean, maybe I'm just being like hypercritic. I don't know. I mean, it depends what night it is as well. If there's like a kind of more classic person playing, then the crowd will be older or whatever. I think Optimal probably still has that sort of like blend of different ages and going on and stuff like that. But
for sure,
you look at like big festivals and stuff in Glasgow. It's all a very, very young dynamic of people that are going there. On the whole, I would say. Yeah,
that's interesting. I always compare Glasgow nightlife and club scene to Edinburgh, and I always feel like Edinburgh's got a younger crowd. Edinburgh's got a big student population, and to be honest with you, I've been out in Edinburgh kind of clubbing a few times recently, and it was during the festival, so it was probably a bit more like mixed tourists, mixed ages and stuff like that there, but I feel like, I don't know, I always kind of looked at Glasgow like it still had like a bit more of a mix of ages, but maybe
I'm probably just absolutely out my bin and I've got no idea.
It's all relative. Listen, maybe I'm just it's all relative, right?
Maybe I've just like sold myself a narrative every time I go out, and that's all I'm looking for. And just like, everyone's too young.
I mean, it's definitely different to when you go out in London or Berlin, right? Like it is a much sort of wider range of like age group and stuff. It's,
definitely
for sure. But so at this point, you've started DJing. You've got a residency in the sushi bar. When did you start picking up some other gigs around about Glasgow and stuff?
What happened? I mean, it seems like ages ago now. I think I just kind of like did that for a bit. I think I stayed there for about 2-ish years or something like that.
Every Saturday for 2 years?
Every Saturday. Every Saturday. I genuinely don't think I took a Saturday off. Unless I was away maybe, but
really sort of learning your craft, like mastering your craft, doing
that,
right? Like,
sort of thing. And just kind of like, I mean, I didn't have like I've never had like techniques in the house. I mean, I've not had a set of decks for so long, but you know, that was my only time to really sort of like mix with techniques, and obviously mixing with that was just the best sort of feeling. But I think I probably like started going out, and then there'd be like after parties just in people's houses, And then there was like the unit that was running, and I think I maybe got to play there when I was like sort of early 20s. And then what happened, I used to work in this bar called Russell's, and there was a night on, there was like a wee club. God, I'm just having this thought right now. It was like under the Corinthian. Like, you know where the Corinthian is in like Merchant City, like this big, like stupid place, but like they had this wee tiny sort of club space in like the ground level just under the main stairs. And someone was putting a night on, and the people that I used to know in the bar were like, oh, my pals are doing this thing. We should bring your records, you might get to play. And then I did get to play. And there was guys there, and a guy, Ian Graham, who was just starting this night called Edit Undo. And the guy that he was going to have as a resident was playing there as well. And then I came on and I started DJing, and then basically that night he got kind of papped out, and I got given this chance to be the resident at the club night, and I kind of felt kind of shy. But the guy was very nice. Kieran, I think his name was, and he was like, "No, it's cool. Like, you're good at what you're doing there, so I don't mind." And I was like, "Okay, that's very, very kind of you."
When did the Sunday Circus stuff sort of kick off? Because that's probably where I first came across you, or first seen you play. I mean, that's obviously got a bit of a like legendary status as a part of it.
Yeah, I mean, that was such a huge part of my life. I mean, that was 2007 was the first one. I think it was in the summer. I can't quite remember. But yeah, I mean, I wasn't involved in it at the start. I was actually going to do on exactly the same date, a night, exactly similar vibe, a daytime party in a bar called The Halt in Woodlands Road.
Right.
And I was going to call it Edit Undone. So it was like a kind of carry on from the night I was a resident at, or was coming to the end that night.
Mm-hmm.
And then the bar pulled out. They were like, "Oh, we can't provide this for you." And then I was like, "Right, okay, fine." So I was kind of in a bit of a huff. And then that day, someone said, "Oh, we're going to this thing called Sunday Circus." And I didn't even know it was on. And I was like, "All right, okay." And kind of like begrudgingly went along. I was still a bit like annoyed that I couldn't do my night. And then I went to the Courtyard with my pals. And for anyone that went to it, that first time you kind of walked in Glasgow, like nothing was happening in Glasgow like that. It was like this daytime party, and the venue that the guys had picked, obviously they weren't my friends at the time, but are now. It was just perfect for you. You walked into the place, like the wee barrier at the top, and then you went out the back. It was called the Courtyard. And that's why it was so good, because you had these stairs going down into this courtyard. You had a Function 1 sound system in it, I think. And it was just perfect. It was just this wee enclosed rave haven, just like the balcony up the top. That's where the decks were set up, just looking down onto the courtyard.
What time would it kick off? It was obviously on a Sunday. What time was like?
It was about 3, I think, about 3 in the afternoon. Went on till, I can't even remember, about 11 o'clock, something like that.
Good crowds.
Just like a good crowd, just that way. It was kind of funny because no one knew what was going on at that. It was just that way. Everything was new. You're like, this is actually amazing. Like, the sound was amazing. And the people were just like, you know, people that want to party during the day. And the music was amazing. And I remember that I obviously didn't know anyone involved with it. And that time I went down, the first time, the bar manager at the time, Derek, he had seen me DJing, I think it was in the Holt bar, the week before or something like that. And I think he kind of knew Ronnie, who was running it. And he said, "Listen, like, I've seen this guy DJing, you should get him playing here." And I was just kind of like, "Oh, I don't know. And he was like, "Oh, well, do you want to get a mix?" We basically just arranged going round to his house, got a mix, got absolutely on it. Yeah. And he was just like, "Yeah, this is the same sort of vibe." And then I got a shot at I think it was the second one, it might have been the third one, I'm not sure. It was I can't even remember how often it was, every month maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And I just obviously got the first like hour or whatever to warm up. But I remember playing and, you know, there's no one there, and Ronnie just kind of came down onto the dance floor and he got everyone else. He was like, listen, these are the tunes, man. These are the tunes. And I was just getting a wee buzz like, oh, I'm impressing the people that run it. And then I think it was the next one, they let me finish it. They let me do the last hour.
Wicked.
And I was just like, oh my God. I mean, that was like that felt like the point I'd got to where I was like, this is it. This is what it feels like to just absolutely do something.
Buzz, right? It's like warming up's a good buzz as well. Like warming up and watching a dance floor fill up, but playing to a packed dance floor and sort of getting that reaction. And then I suppose it kind of goes up a level when you like play some of your own tunes as well, which like I'm sure you've obviously done plenty of that as
absolutely,
well. You know,
yeah.
It is like one of the best, genuinely one of the best buzzes you can get, man. It's wicked. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think just that time as well, when it was just this new thing, so you had that sort of extra level of excitement because people were there during the day. They're getting kind of more melted during the day, but like not just like on it. Everyone is just getting to this point at like 11 o'clock where it's like the end of the courtyard, and then you're going on to the after party that we used to have in like this wee place called the Crowbar, which is just this tiny basement bar. Oh, it was just such a... I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about how... It was just such a buzz. There's been that young guy.
This is kind of still very much sort of pre-social media days as well, right? So like...
Pretty much, yeah.
I think when I think about partying in that time and going to something like that, there was almost like a bit of... You didn't really know what to expect. You know, if you're going to something now, other than partying in Berlin or partying in London or something, you generally you've probably seen videos of the place or video... You know, you're kind of knowing what to expect, and it takes away that sort of surprise factor or mystery. I suppose that is maybe what makes it so special going to somewhere like Berkane or something now, right? Because like you don't know what it even looks like inside until you get in there. You maybe won't get in, but yeah, people would have been rocking up and going to that, and it would have been, as you said, like a new thing. And what kind of year was this?
This was 2007,
right?
And it went on until 2016, so 9 years, basically.
Was it mostly residents playing on the Sundays, or was it a lot of guests?
I think, I think there was normally a guest. I mean, we had so many guests, like I couldn't even begin to think about all the people that we had playing there.
I went on New Year's Day one year. It was supposed to be Craig Richards, and I don't think he came, and Ivan Smag played instead. It was at the art school.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
That's right. That was Sunday Circus,
that
right?
Was Sunday Circus, yeah.
That was wicked.
Yeah.
That was really good.
Yeah, that was towards the end, I think. That was probably the second last year that we did, as I recall. Because like round about that time, more people were doing similar stuff by that point. It kind of like, we were the only people doing that basically back in 2007.
Yeah.
Or the late kind of 2000s. And then more people cottoned on, and then there was just so much more stuff to do on New Year's Day, and then that's kind of what led to the end of it. There was just so many things to go to. You were like, well, just can't sort of compete anymore.
Yeah.
All the big boys were in just putting on these crazy, and just like, fine.
So how long were you a resident at that party for then?
For all the 9 years. All 9 years. Yeah, I mean, like I say, it was the best times of my life. I mean, people will still kind of come up to me and talk about it and just be like, they were just the best times. Like, it was just something about that space, something about that time, something about the people. And we kind of started expanding out beyond the courtyard. We had like a street party down where SWG3 is, and I think that was the first street party they had down there. We had RG playing. That was just an incredible night. He was amazing. Did stuff like out in barns. I think Optimo had done something in this barn before, and then we used it for Craig Richards and Seth Troxler.
Amazing.
Back to back. That was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Where else? Grand Old Opry, that kind of like Western mad place down in the south side, just across the bridge. They were really good. The Ark, like the kind of Scream pub just off George Square, and they were actually amazing. I remember there was 3 I think we did there. Maya Jane Coles, In the Snow, Seb O'Kay and Spencer Parker.
Amazing.
And Spencer Parker one. They were all really good. The Spencer Parker one was really amazing, and the Seb OK one was just also just unbelievable. Just like absolutely mobbed. I think I'd been in a really emotional space that day because I was in Dundee, I think. Like, I'm named after my grandpa.
Right.
And my grandpa was like one of the first big TV magicians.
Right.
So he like was in America doing these magic shows back in the 50s.
Wow.
He started like the Scottish Association of Magicians or something like that. He was in the Magic Circle, blah, blah, blah. And he passed away before I was born. That's why I'm named after him. And there was this like awards ceremony in Dundee, and like one of the trophies is called the Max Raskin Trophy.
Right, okay.
And obviously I'd never met him before, and I was kind of going up there with my family, and I just thought, I'm going to go and just present this award, and I'll be like, "Sound well done for winning the Max Raskin Trophy, no bother." And my auntie, she's like a mad theatrical lady, she had kind of prepared this speech before I came up.
Mm-hmm.
So it was all about my grandpa, and there was going to be a big sort of thing. Just like, sadly, like the worst trick my dad did ever was disappear and never come back.
Oh.
But I feel his spirit is still in the room. If there is a Max Raskin present, please make yourself known. And that was going to be me standing up, and I would go and hand the trophy to the winner.
Uh-huh.
But I'd been there the whole day for like a dinner or whatever it was, and it was like some kind of special thing to do with his passing. It was like the 40th year or something since he's passing. I can't remember. But they said his name, and every time they said his name, I can't even explain it because it's the same name as mine. I don't know what it was, but I just immediately got this like wave of just raw emotion, and I just wanted to start crying.
Wow.
And they'd say his name multiple times, and I could just feel it. That way you can feel yourself when you're like so emotional.
Yeah.
And you can't you're just fighting. You're like, what is wrong with me, man? Like, I'm meant to be saying something. Like, I am absolutely literally going to bawl my eyes out here for some reason. And then it got to that point, and I remember just like walking up to the thing, and I had this speech prepared that was all like, I am also Max Raskin. I'm really proud to be here, blah, blah, blah. But I got to the stage, and I was just like, literally, like, I'm Max Raskin. And I just started bawling my eyes out, and everyone's bawling their eyes out. I was just like, I was so proud of someone that I'd never met before. It just felt like this sort of weird, I don't want to sound too woo-woo, but just like sort of like spiritual meeting of him, because people were talking about him. His name's my name. But anyway, I did this thing. I was absolutely emotional, like wreck. And then I drove down, and it was Sunday Circus, and it was either Seb OK or Spencer Parker. I can't remember, one of the two. But I was just like elated to be alive. I was just like, I cannot wait to just go down here and play to a packed house and do something that I absolutely fucking love.
That's wicked.
And I felt amazing. And the Spencer, whoever it was that was playing, was also, I think it was Seb OK, absolutely smashed it. And I was just having the best time ever.
Proper charged with emotion.
Oh, I was just one of the most bizarre days of my life. Just from that to all of it, it was amazing.
That's mad. So your granddad, it sounds like he was quite a big deal then in the movie.
He was, I mean, it was quite a good, my sister who kind of works in TV, she's a presenter in TV. This was about, I don't even know, a good few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And she spoke to someone at STV, and they were just chatting, and said, "Oh, Raskin, you wouldn't happen to be a relation of Max Raskin, the magician?" She went, "Yeah, it's my grandpa." And this guy was like, "I think we might have footage of him in the archives."
Wow.
So she managed to get this footage of my grandpa and stuff that, my dad and his sister didn't know about.
Wow.
And that was their gift at Christmas time. We gave them this DVD. I made them like a sort of photoshopped cover with all the stuff on it. And we all watched it together, and it was so emotional because, again, like I said, I never met him before. I'd seen pictures, obviously.
Yeah.
But you're seeing him, and it was so funny. It was so like mad TV back then. There was like a kind of, "Hello there, welcome to STV. I'm whoever. Just now we have some magic from Max Raskin." And then like a curtain would come back, and he was just sitting there like at a table, and he's like, "I'm about to do him." And everyone spoke like that, or spoke in posh STV voices. So that was me seeing him do tricks for these people for the first time as well. I mean, obviously everyone was greeting as well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Do you think so? Obviously, we've been speaking a little bit about dance music and DJing. We're going to chat about some of the other sort of creative pursuits that you've got. It's quite performative. Do you think that has had an influence on that direction in your life? Like, do you think the fact that he was a magician and...
I mean, probably. I think, yeah, I mean, no doubt. I mean, I think basically, I've gone to probably to no doubt very quickly there. But yeah, I think just kind of genetically, obviously, everyone has a sort of thing that they're sort of predisposed to just from like their lineage. And like, he's obviously an entertainer. My dad, when he had the restaurant, he played the piano and, he would kind of entertain people. My auntie, she's like a drama teacher. She did loads of... She was actually just recently in an Iron Brew ad. She was the granny in the Iron Brew ad.
I'll need to look out for her the next time I see it.
But what else? Yeah, I mean, just that whole side of the family was very performative. And my mum as well, I guess. She's just got that kind of like amiable way about her when she was working in the restaurant. And yeah, I mean, also the silliness aspect of it as well. I mean, my auntie, she's mad as a brush. So basically, I think that kind of ties in with dance music culture and like whatever afters and just staying up till all silly hours, people just like chatting absolute shit. And I don't think there's anyone that can chat more shit than me. Like, I just love being a silly goose and just putting on accents and entertaining people and just being a silly guy. And I think that definitely kind of enhanced that part of me when I was kind of growing up. You get engrossed in that world of just partying and tunes and just the silliness of it. And yeah, I mean, that definitely played a part in me becoming who I am, for sure.
So we're obviously speaking about resident DJs. You've got a production duo with one of the best resident DJs in the business, Harri. So
yes, sir.
Harri for the Subclub. So how did you and Harri first connect?
I mean, there's a variety of stories, I guess. The very first time that I sort of interacted with him was at Tea in the Park, and I was probably about 18, and I'd been up all night with my mate in the tent, just like absolutely out or not, and I was making this like activity book for Harri and Dom, and it was like word searches and like kind of Where's Wally, but like help Dom find Harri, and like crosswords and just absolute nonsense. And it opened up, I think I wrote him this like 10-page long, it was like a wee jotter, and I wrote him like this sort of 10-page monologue about how much I thought he was great. And then, I went to go see him. I think he was playing at like the Bacardi bar or something. And I was like, there's a thing. And he was like, oh, sound mate, blah, blah, blah. And then, fast forward a few years, start doing Sunday Circus, and kind of get to know him a bit better, become kind of good friends. And then I was round at his house once, and I said, listen, I don't know if I was ever going to tell you this or not, but like when I was 18, I came up to you at Tea in the Park and I gave you this mad wee jotter. And he just looked at me and went, I think I've still got that. And then he walked into the bedroom and just produced this jotter. And I was just like, oh my God. That's how I know what's in it. I wouldn't have remembered, but I've seen it, in the past 10 years. And I remember the opening line of it is so nonsensical. It says, Dear Harri, I am a fan, not the kind that blows winds at interchangeable speeds, but an admirer of what you do. And then it just goes on, and I left him a number. It's the same number I've got now, so fucking wild. But yeah, I was just looking through them and laughing just how daft it was.
What on earth spurred you to create that at like in your tent at Tea in the Park?
I couldn't possibly say. I'm sure you can figure it out. The listener can make their own mind up about that one. But yeah, it was just, I don't know, just always like I said, I have just always been into just like silliness. Like I remember that year we took walkie-talkies to Tea in the Park.
Yeah.
So, and quite a few other people had the same idea. So you get same people on your channel.
Yeah.
So I ended up playing this game with people in the campsite. I was like, right, everyone, we're going to make up a sentence together. Who's with me? And it's like, yeah, I'm in. And it's like, I'm in too. Just like, so I had like 10 people doing this chain of just building up this sentence. I was writing it down, probably in that fucking jotter. But yeah, just, I don't know.
That's amazing. Can you remember any of the sentences?
Oh, absolutely no chance. No way. But yeah, I think that, just being silly, I think, was very important at that time.
So you and Harri started making tunes together. It's Manakinz is the alias, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I think I've read Andrew Weatherall was one of your first.
Yeah, I mean, we started making stuff at the end of 2018, and then I think after a few months, like the first time that we made tunes together, Harri basically came round to my flat because we lived really close to each other at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's basically what spurred him on to get in touch, because I'd been sending him stuff over the years, and you'd obviously hope that he would say that's cool, and if he didn't say it was cool, you were like, well, it must be shit then. But he liked a few of the things that I'd done, and then he came round, and I just had the stuff set up in the kitchen table, and we sat down and was like, well, how do you work? And he was like, well, I'll turn up with some sample ideas maybe, which is something that I never really properly dabbled in sampling. I always just kind of like did MIDI notes and like samples of maybe like a tambourine or a conga loop, but never really that many kind of like samples.
I'm the same.
Yeah, it's like it was a whole new, well, I was like, all right, okay, well, let's try that then. So we just started like going through his samples that he had and seeing like, I think he taught me quite a good thing that I think the Revenge told him. It's like, you're not just looking for like loops,
Mm-hmm.
you're looking for tones as well. So he would have like a few lists of like things that had tones in them, drag them into this thing, 2 hours, started and finished this tune. And we both kind of went, oh, that was fast and quite fun and easy. And then we just basically kept on meeting up. Same thing every time, basically. It was never a slog. It was always a very sort of like streamlined thing. We would just start making a tune, get a vibe, cool, do you like that? Cool. And I never worked with anyone before, really.
Yeah.
Maybe a handful of times, but it was always quite like two sort of producery people just like looking for the perfect EQ of a hi-hat.
Yeah, too noodly.
Yeah, Harri, I mean, he's not really the technical side. He's just more like, he knows how a tune should be.
Yeah.
So if you've got someone like that and you can get lost in your own thoughts and your own noodling, you can just like fanny about the bass line. He's like, stop, that's good, keep doing that. Like, this one, cool. Do you like it? Cool, that's it. It's in, next sound, blah, blah, blah. And then it was just a really good symbiotic relationship.
He was kind of pointing and shooting.
Yeah, pointing, shooting, knowing the sound as well. Like he'd say, oh, I think I'd know a sample that would go well in this, or I think I've got a vocal that would work well here.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, basically just did a bunch of tunes for the first few months, sent out to a handful of people basically, heard nothing for about a month, and we were both just like, we are at it, man. We do not know what we're doing. We've got no idea. And then Andy Weatherall phoned Harri, and he was like, all right, mate, I've just played 5 of your tunes back to back in Brighton. People were dancing on the tables, ended with a tune we'd done called What Must I Do? He said everyone was just losing it. And
that's amazing.
He then phoned me up, and I was just obviously like, kill me now, that's it. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
That was it for me. I was just like, that's it. I mean, I could stop doing it now.
For anybody as your first supporter, right? That is the guy. Like, he's the absolute.
That's the guy.
The governor.
So yeah, the governor, exactly. So that was the point that I was like, right, so we're not like lost in our own stupidity here. This is quite decent stuff. And then not long after that, we got a sign into Let's Play House in New York, and then we thought, right, okay, cool, we're kind of on it here. And then started releasing in other things, other labels. And then I think we had something out. We had 2 things out on 2 separate compilations in Future Boogie. Just before lockdown. We were about to have our first ever gig together in Subculture in March of 2020, and then lockdown hit. And that was basically all the wind was out our sails, back to square one. And yeah, we still met up like during lockdown, but our sound, we kind of made a lot more slower, chuggier sort of stuff, maybe more electronic acts. There's a few things that we've still got that we'd love to put out that we think are good, but yeah, just sort of experimented a bit more.
When the clubs aren't open, I suppose your kind of focus becomes less about making club music, right? Like we had a few years where there was no clubs really for us to like play the music in, so I can understand that's kind of why the direction took that shape. But you played in Fabric as well, right? Yep,
that was February, I think. This year. And that came about, basically I got a message from Ben Gamori, who we've put a bunch of tunes out with.
Oh yeah, I know Ben.
On his, he's a nice guy, on Monologues, his label, and he kind of messaged me, I think it was in December of 2024, and he said, I'm not sure, but it's looking like we might get room 3 for 10 years of Monologues in February, whenever it was. Would you want to do it? And obviously I was like, yeah, of course I want to fucking do it. And then nothing happened with it, didn't hear anything about it. And then like 2 weeks before it, he said, right, we've got the room. And Harri had already been booked to play in the Subclub. He was playing with Ryan Elliott, I think, or something like that. So it was just me and Ben all night. And yeah, that was,
that would have been wicked.
One off the bucket list to play in Fabric. And it was amazing. Like it was room 3. And yeah, got down, vibe was very strong. He was playing 12 till 2. I played 2 till 4 and then 4 till 6 or something like that. We played, 2 hours back to back at the end anyway, and
that's so class.
Yeah, it was great.
Fabric's such a landmark venue, man. It's definitely a bucket list one to be playing at, right?
Yeah.
Has that been one of the sort of highlights of that duo doing stuff together?
I think it's the only, to be honest with you. We've not actually played together in a club ever. Yeah, and because when I played kind of as Manakinz after Fabric in the Subclub with the McCart guys, it was just me, because Harri couldn't make it. So the 2 Manakinz gigs have just been me, and it just feels like, it'd be so much better if...
you need to make it happen, right?
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
If anyone's watching. Yeah, it'd be nice.
Yeah, definitely, man. So you were obviously, you mentioned the pub quizzes earlier on. That's something you've been doing for quite a few years. Then I know that you do it at Bananaman on every Thursday
night.
in
Bananaman, yeah.
You do it at some other places around about town?
I'd say just one at the moment. Birdhouse on a Wednesday night. So normally just do 2. Right. But I've done them all over the place. I mean, like I said, the first one I did was in a club called 520. And that was my Billy Connolly. He was called Willie Cannelloni.
Willie Cannelloni.
So he was Willie Cannelloni, and then just kind of did various ones. Currently I do a German guy. So the whole night I'm speaking like this, and people, when they come into the quiz, they are very confused because they're like, why is there a German quiz master in Glasgow who is freestyle rapping at the end of the night? I don't understand this. So that kind of disarms people. And the last reason I do it is because, like I was saying to you actually before we started recording, I don't really do pub quizzes. Like I'd never really done them. People just got me to do them because you're a silly idiot. We need a host, do it. And I kind of worked out my own formula for doing songs at the end and making the rounds as fun and as silly as possible without being too mentally challenging. And I've just always stuck with that. I've always done a song at the end of the night because I just think, it's a fucking pub quiz. Everyone's getting wrecked.
Yeah.
Why not? Like, why not do it? And if you can do an interactive thing where you get people to provide you with the content, they feel more involved. It's more of a sort of connected thing. And yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It sounds wicked. You told me kind of off camera that you've been doing a bit of work. Speaking of weird, you told me off camera that you've been doing a bit of work for an app. Some voiceover work, right?
Yes.
Do you want to tell us about that?
Well, voice acting. So it's like an app. I don't want to say too much, but it's basically like a sort of saucy app. So it's basically these like stories that you listen to. It's not even like a story. It's like a one-on-one, but the one-on-one is with the person that I do the character for.
Mm-hmm.
Pardon me. And you just basically have to simulate having sex like in a microphone. So you get a script and then it kind of gives you a bit of a story preamble And then you basically get down to it and it gets more intense and more intense. You have to see all this like very X-rated stuff.
How on earth did this come about, and how have you ended up doing this?
I mean, this just sums up my life, just like the most ridiculous things. My pal Karina, she knew some people in America that had the app, and they were struggling to get like a Scottish voice actor to do it. You just like couldn't get someone, blah 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 blah. And then she messaged me saying, I don't know if you'd be interested in this. It's a bit mad. It's like this saucy sort of stories, acting. I don't know what's going on with it really, but would you like to audition? And I said, sure, why not? Did the audition, got the part. And then the first time that I went to go do it, I didn't actually know kind of how X-rated it was.
Yeah.
And then I turned up at the studio that I was doing it at, and the guy, Nick, that I know, he was like, hi Max, have you read the script yet? And I said, no, I've not seen it. And he went, okay, well, you go and get a wee cup of tea and have a read over that, and I'll just be waiting in the sound booth. And I was reading it just like, whoa, this is way more than I thought this was going to be.
Oh my God.
And obviously you're doing these things and, you know, you're having to be very convincing, and you're in a studio with a guy looking at you through the glass. You're just like, this is weird. But the first time you do it, it's obviously so weird. It's all new.
Yeah.
But I've done it, you know, I don't know, about 15 times now. And I think by this point, it's just like,
You're numb to it.
it's just a job. You just turn up, you do it, you leave. That's it.
Is like a Scottish accent a desired? You said they were struggling to find someone with a Scottish accent. Is that like a desired accent for the effect?
Well, judging by the comments that go out on these things on socials, then yeah, I would say. I mean, there's loads of different characters on it. It's not like it's just about Scottish people. They've got Irish people, you know, people from England, Americans, cowboys, all sorts of mad characters with like backstories. I'm meant to be some sort of like bad boy in the town. Like, I mean, so the antithesis of what I am. But yeah, just like, it's just a different character basically.
What's the name of the app? People are going to keep.
I couldn't possibly say.
People are going to have a look out for
I
you.
couldn't possibly say.
No.
Yeah.
So I've seen some of the sketch videos that you've been putting out on socials recently, right? They've been absolutely killing me.
Thank you.
What was the inspiration for this and for the characters in the videos as well?
Well, the characters, I mean, I think one of the funny things that's been happening since I've been putting them out is like the amount of messages that I get from people that are just like, oh, I know a Frank Sylvester, I know Celine, I know a Bobby. It's just like sort of all these different types of people that just exist 1,000 times over in Glasgow, tens of thousands of times over, just these people. So, I mean, that's where I got the inspiration for the characters from. But I mean, the actual doing the thing, I think I was just like, I need to do something online because I do these pub quizzes, I do the raps, and it's done. But I didn't have anything that was just like there all the time, and I wanted to kind of utilize the character stuff that I do, the sort of editing stuff that I could do, the music stuff that I could do, and the idea of having some sort of like interactive sitcom as well. So it all started out, I mean, all the characters are all kind of conceived with the help of people. So I would just go through Snapchat, find a face, put a photo up in the Instagram stories and just say what they called, what do they do, and you know, all that kind of stuff. And that's how it came about. And then that just kind of inspired me to be like, oh, cool, people are like wanting to like interact with this. And I started doing the sort of like Massimiliano Costantino Limonaccetti stuff. And then just
Ibiza one, that was the most recent one, right? that was brilliant, man.
Yeah, Ibiza one was silly, but I just want to do stuff, you know. Obviously, that I would love for it to just keep on going with it, build up a wee bit of a following. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I need to try. Like I said, I give up on stuff too easily, and with this thing, I'm like, I need to just stick with it for a good while, like a good few months, up to a year. Just keep on doing it, and just hope that something kind of comes
off
from
the back of it. I think
whatever it may be.
If you keep the consistency up with that, I could really see it happening. Like, I think they're great. And I mean, it's one of the, obviously you use AI. I think you mentioned before.
Yeah.
It's one of the best examples I've seen is someone using AI in like a creative,
I think way. I can probably get away with using it because it's just a silly thing. So it's not really going to be judged by anyone really in the same way that it would be if you used it to like make a music track or just do an entire performance. It's just like we Like, you know, there's part of the music video that I get Celine to turn, she's like a piece of a jigsaw puzzle, turns into a dove and flies into the sky. Like, I couldn't program that, but I can use facial reference for her face, see what I want to happen, generate it. If it's not what I want, I just tweak it a wee bit and generate it again until you get something that you like. Same with the song. The song is all AI generated. I wrote all the lyrics for the song and I knew what key it was going to be in, but it took me a good few generations of it on Suno. Have you ever used that app, Suno?
Nah, I've never.
It's so good. I was actually just using it before I came here. You can now literally just like hum in like a tune.
I've heard about this.
Be like bum ba da ba da bum 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 bum, and just do that for like a minute, and and you can write, oh, I want that to be like disco funk, 110 BPM, whatever, and then like a minute later you'll have two offerings, and it's so good.
That's amazing, but it's also
so
kind of
good.
scary as well.
It's
right?
terrifying.
It's
terrifying, but in the same regard, I mean, you have to just be able to find a way to utilize it that helps you without losing the creative, soulful thing that you have to have when you're making stuff. Like, it's very easy to just like, I mean, I think, what is it? Someone actually has made lots of money from Spotify streams and it's entirely AI.
That's right, yeah. We were actually talking about that on this podcast. Yeah, there's a fake band on Spotify that are racking up loads of streams it's entirely AI. Now that's, for me, that's like kind of mind-boggling, right? But I think there's got to be a way that we can kind of use AI and be creative and still be artistic with it, and as you said, kind of like keep the soul in what you're doing, right?
Well, that Suno thing's really cool because you can split things into stems, so you can actually just take wee bits out of the tune that you think are good and then just move on from that or whatever. It's a good sort of creative development zone that's very quick. So if you're just like literally have an idea for a song, you hum it, you get parts, you take it into your DAW, whatever, and then you can make it something completely different.
That's wicked. I need to give that a try.
Super cool.
But you, you should definitely keep up those videos, man, because they've been absolutely killing me.
Thank you. Yeah, I intend to. I think the next one's going to be. I always say that about the one after the previous one, but I think this next one's going to be the silliest one so far. Frank's Dance Academy. I just like a middle-aged guy from the Mearns promoting a dance academy that he's won in a dancing competition in Ibiza. I think just the premise of that alone is very stupid.
I'm looking forward to seeing it. I was telling you earlier on, I showed my mum it. She was like totally pissing herself laughing as well. Like, it's wicked. Very quickly before we finish up, Max, what have you got coming up? Where can people find you? Pub. You know, you've got the pub quizzes every week. Banana Moon Thursdays, Birdhouse Wednesdays, a DJ in there sometimes every so often. I'm playing at Keep On at the end of this month, like I said, in La Chita. And that's about it at the moment. I'm just going to try and like get my head down, put out more of these kind of Talk to Frank social media skits and just see what happens with that. Basically, that's my plan. Wicked. Well, what's your links?
My links are at max.raskin on Instagram. I think it's the same for TikTok. I'm not sure, something similar. And that's it, basically.
Wicked. Well, listen, I look forward to watching more of your videos coming up soon. Thanks very much for coming on the podcast. It's been good speaking to you.
Very welcome, you too.
Thanks very much, man.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks again for tuning in to today's episode of the Apter Party podcast with Max Raskin. If you enjoyed this episode, please give us a like and subscribe. Please feel free also to give the episode a share, either on social media or share it with your friends. And please check out the episode sponsors, Paradisa. They're a cool Edinburgh-based clothing brand, and I'll provide a link to their website in the episode show notes.